on these presentations, I will be covering introduction to everything about telco applications and how we can start off by creating a SMS-based applications. And from there onwards, on the second presentation, which will follow next week, you can actually learn about how you can integrate USSD API with SMS application to create a hybrid application. And so forth. On the third presentation, you can learn about mashup applications where APIs like SMS, USSD, location can be integrated together to create new and hybrid applications. And on the fourth, where we'll be covering up everything that we have discussed on the first three presentations, and then move on to how we can do payments from mobile applications itself. So from using the application that you have created, how you can do payments for your for products that you're buying from a particular merchant. So let's start quickly. So actually, this is the second time I'm introducing myself. So because you guys didn't hear me the first time, let me start again. My name is Jason Jabanesan, and I'm the account manager in Zenith Mobile, and I'm based out of Singapore. And I started my career in engineering background, and a couple of years back, I moved into management. So that's how my whole career is. So I've been working with the whole application development for the last couple of years now. Yeah, that's the simplest version of, I can say, what my position is. So let's start. To start off with, following are the topics that we'll be covering on today's presentation. So what are telco assets and why telco applications? So why do we need to create a telco application? What is the value add we get by creating telco applications? And are current businesses making use of telco assets? And I will go into details on what are assets, but to just think, are businesses making use of the full potential of telco assets? Then we'll go step by step on to see how we can create a small SMS-based application and see what are the best practices that everyone should use while creating application. And then I'll finish the presentation on giving you links on how you can, every single person who's attending this presentation can actually get started on creating a telco application. So let's start. So before we actually go into details on what are telco assets, let's get something clear here. So when I say telco applications, I'm not talking about applications that you create for your mobile handset. So these are not applications that you create, for example, on an Android device or iPhone device, and you install on your smartphone, and you start using them. These are applications that you create and deploy in the cloud. So you create an application, or here you can call it a software, and you create this application or the software, and you deploy it in the cloud. And everyone that has a mobile phone can start using applications. So they're not limited by the phone manufacturer or the smartphone handset that they have. So anyone, even if they don't even have a smartphone, they can start using this application or the software that you have created. I hope this is clear. So when I actually talk about telco applications, I'm talking about softwares or applications that you create and deploy in the cloud and not on your handset. So let's start. So what is telco assets? A telco asset could be as simple as an SMS, where one person sends an SMS to another person, or application sending a SMS to a user. So that even is an asset. So things like SMS, USSD, I'm sure everybody would have used USSD. Even if you don't know what a USSD is, a USSD is simple, something similar to an SMS, but it starts with a short code which says, for example, *#141#. So that's a USSD shortcode. So it comes up with an interactive menu, and then location-based. So location is another powerful API that's available between the telco, where you can individually identify where a particular user is just by using their phone number. So if the application knows the phone number, you can actually identify where the user is and which area he is, and you can actually, based on that, do your logic, or you can run promotions on top of that. On top of that, you can actually make payments or pay for goods that you actually buy using your mobile account. So basically, you can actually buy, for example, you can go to a shopping mall, buy something, and then actually pay using a mobile account without using cash or your credit card. So end of the month, actually your payment, it actually gets added in to your mobile bill, and then you can actually at one go in one bill, you can actually pay. So these are telco assets. So telco assets are services or available within the infrastructure of a telco domain. For example, are the SMS, USSD location, and the mobile account, which I just spoke about. So why telco applications? So why do we need to create telco applications is because that we have so much assets, so much infrastructure that's readily available. If you know, like, telcos are available in every single country, and they cover pretty much throughout every single area in a country that have signals, they have power. So if you even take a message, you can send an SMS to every single user in the region. So you're not limited, for example, you're not limited by any data connection, you're not limited by any phone model. You can actually send an SMS to pretty much every single phone that's out there. On top of that, they have a loyal subscriber base. It's not just a user that you're trying to target. You're trying to target a full subscriber base. For example, if I take USA, for example, and AT&T, they are one of the biggest telcos that's out there. So they have a huge millions of subscribers that's readily available for you to actually penetrate and start marketing your application. So it's not that you need to go and find new subscribers to start using the application. So subscribers are already available. It's a matter of just creating an application that attracts the subscriber base that the telcos already have. And as I said before, wide accessibility. So the application that you have created is not limited by the handset model that's available. You can use this application with SMS. Because it's SMS, you can use it with iPhones, Nokia, Android, even Windows Phone. Any single phone, even if it's a smartphone or a feature phone, you can start using the application. On top of that, when you want to identify a single user, you can identify where this user resides or which area he's from, and using the LBS APIs and run promotions that is targeted for that particular region. So you're not running promotions or creating application that targets every single person. You can actually drill down and say, okay, I'm going to just target this particular location and run application just for them. So what does the telco application actually solve? Why do we need to create a telco application? So I just explained on what are the assets that's available and how we can make use of them. But why to choose a telco application? Because let's say I want to create a smartphone application. It's costly to start off with. I need to think about Android, I need to think about iPhone, I need to think about all the different versions that's out there. I need to think about all the UIs, or how the graphic, the user interface is going to look like. So it's a complex process. So it's really when you look at the cost point of view, it's really costly to create a mobile application. But creating a telco application, you can actually create an application on 1/10 of the cost that will actually take for you to create a mobile application. So it's really cheap. You can actually I will actually share a link end of the presentation where you can actually see and see how you can get started with a minimalistic programming knowledge, how you can actually start creating application within few minutes. So it just takes few minutes to start creating an application. And there was a research done a couple of years ago where it showed like most of the searches that's done on the search engine is to find out localized content. When we say localized content, everybody wants to find out, they don't want to find out what's happening in US, what is the restaurant available in US, for example, but they want to find out what is the restaurant, what's available around me, what is the best rated restaurants available to me, what are the promotions that's available around me so that I can start using them. So a research just actually showed that most of the searches, actually 1/3 of all the searches that happens are searches that's for the localized community that the person lives in or the user that lives in. So the application that you create is actually localized to the particular telco. So when you actually create an application, it actually targets the local community. So the penetration or the usage of your applications will be much, much higher than creating an application and deploying it to the whole world. So that's a difference there. And it's easy, as I said before, it's really, really easy to start building your own telco application. You can quickly just start creating application using the API. It just takes a couple of minutes just to get started. And even if you don't have a programming knowledge, I will just show you on the next couple of slides on how we can actually create using a wizard-based applications even without using the API. So before I go into details on how this application creation and how this whole thing works, let's take a scenario. So it actually makes it easier for us to visualize and see how this whole thing actually is going to work. Let's say I'm a coffee shop owner, right? I'm a coffee shop owner, I'm doing very well, and I want to enhance my business. So I'm just thinking, how can I enhance my business? So to enhance my business, I have two options. One is to attract new customers to come to my coffee shop and to buy coffee from me, or to make the current customers repeat and come again and again to the coffee shop in a more frequent manner, so they will purchase more coffee from me and my revenues will go up. So those are the two things that actually I can do to enhance my business. So how can we do this with the telco application? So for example, I can use a USSD saying #141 to register. So I can ask my customers to register using my application. So when they register using my applications, I can actually send in promotions that's available. So when the user gets a promotion to his handset, he will say, hey, I get 10% off, so let me just go to this coffee shop. So you can actually send out promotions when you register. So it will make customers, when a discount is given, it will make customers to come more frequent to the coffee shop. On top of that, I can integrate SMS and say, okay, send an SMS to 141 for your feedback. So now there's a direct link between me, the coffee shop owner, and my customers, where they can directly send feedback to me wherever they are. So even if they are having an unpleasant experience within the coffee shop, they can actually send a feedback directly. And now me as a coffee shop owner, I can change if you go to a coffee shop, mostly nobody uses credit card. It will be with coins, or maybe $2, $3 of payments. So when you actually look at 2, 3, 4, actually the payment actually takes a long time. So if you actually interlink the mobile accounts to the coffee shop application that's been created, you can actually make payments using your mobile phone now. So actually payments are much faster. So there's no queue, and you can actually serve the customers on a much organized and a faster method. So these are just simple 4 examples to where a coffee shop owner can create an application and get use of all these assets or all these communications that's possible for him to interlink his business with the customers he has already have, or the customers he can get newly. So now I just spoke about the coffee shop example, and if I want to create an application, how can I get started? So there's 5 steps, is 5 easy steps to actually get started, right? We have 5 simple steps. First, like all businesses, you need to get an idea. So idea is the most crucial one in the whole life cycle. So you need to get an idea. So idea can be broken down into 2 business models. One it's an idea to create an application to support an existing business. So at the coffee shop example which I took, it's an example where I already have a business and I want to just create an application that supports my current existing business. Or number two, I can actually create an application and make business out of it. For example, if I'm a software engineer, or actually I am a software engineer, so I can actually create an application and then go and sell it to different coffee shops and say, hey, this is the application which I have created. Do you want to use it? And I actually sell my application to this coffee shop. So now I'm creating a business out of my application. So it's not that I have a business now. So if I want to create a business, I create an application, go and sell it to different coffee shops, and I create revenue by selling the application or the service that I have just created by using the APIs that's available within the telco infrastructure. So now I have an idea. Let's say you choose, for example, in this case, you have a coffee shop idea. I'm taking the same example, but you might be thinking of, okay, you also, everybody who's attending, you can think about a cool idea. You think, hey, I think this would really look good, or this is a really good idea. So just think of the ideas when I'm actually going through this. So, okay, now you have an idea, but now the problem is, how do we get started? So either, now two kind of people might be joining the presentation now. For one is, okay, you have an idea, but you don't have any software or technical knowledge, or people with idea and a technical knowledge. So how it works is, if you don't have any technical knowledge, there's a web-based, wizard-based template that's available where you can just log in and create your own application just using drag and drop. Simple as that. It takes around 4 steps if I'm not mistaken. And you can just create an application on a web base. So it requires zero coding at all. So you don't need to have any technical knowledge, just a web browser, go register and start creating your application just using the template and the wizards which are available. If you have a technical knowledge, a bit of, it does not immediately complex, but you have a small technical knowledge, you can actually download the APIs which are available and start creating the applications, also known as techies in this scenario, and you can start creating the applications by yourself. So that's two options available for users who have technical knowledge to download API and start creating, and for users who do not have technical knowledge, just to log in and create using applications using the web-based wizards that are available. So let's take a scenario on how this whole thing is going to work. Now I've been saying, okay, you can create an application, send a message, you can receive message, you can send, find out where they are using LBS API. So I've been talking about different things. But how does this whole thing work? So basically, to make everything work, there's a platform called TAP, Telco Application Platform. So what this TAP application platform does is, it sits in between your application and your customers, right? And there's a lot of integration that happens in the beginning, how all the telcos are integrated. There's a lot of integration, but to make things simpler, you have your application and you have the TAP or the Telco Application Platform that's in the middle, and it interlinks with the customers. So when you want to send an offer, the coffee shop, let's take the coffee shop example again. And if from the coffee shop, let's say you want to say, okay, hey, 10% discount for this weekend. So when you send an offer message, you use the API and connect, it actually comes to the TAP platform. And the platform will send it to the customer, the coffee shop customer. And when the customer wants to send a feedback to the coffee shop application, the message is sent back to the TAP platform, and the platform will send it to your application. So it's just basically 4 steps involved. Application sends it to the platform, and the platform sends it to the customer. And the feedback is again the reverse order. It's sent back to the application. So it's a simple way. If you actually look at it, it just takes 4 steps to actually send and receive messages. The same way USSD LBS works in a similar manner. So now you have an idea. You know there's 2 ways to create an application. One is the web-based and the API-based. Now the question is, okay, now I create an application. How can I test it? How do I develop it? How do I test it? So now you can actually test it with simulators. So because simulators are involved, let me take a bit of a technical role here. So you download the API. So you can see on the, so you download the API. So there are sample applications already pre-built and available, which supports multiple languages. So you're not limited to just creating applications using Java or some single language. You can use Java, C#, PHP, Python, Perl. I can just go on and go on. So you can create applications using multiple languages, and APIs are available and documents are available to create an application, where you can create an application and then connects to the platform, and the platform connects to mobile. The whole thing is done using the platform. Now, the question becomes, okay, I have created an application. Now, do I need to go and deploy and start spending money trying to test my application? Actually, no. You can simulate the whole thing on a simulator. So you can download a simulator to your local computer or to your laptop and actually start simulating your application. So now you can actually send messages from as if sending from any single person, or send multiple messages to your application to see if your application actually works as it should, or does it have any bugs that you need to fix. All this information can be actually tested on the simulator itself. Now, on your comfort of your home, you can actually sit on your bed and just start testing your application without even going and deploying it somewhere, calling other people to find out, hey, why isn't it working? Nothing like that. You can actually simulate the whole thing using the simulator and test your application. Now, let's say testing is done. What's the next step, right? You need to deploy the application. So how do we deploy the application? To deploy the application, it's really simple. Go to devspace.zenmobile.com and register yourself and just say, hey, I created this application and it works. I have tested it with my simulator and I just want to deploy. And you can make a request. And we have a lot of people there, and we have a community there who will help you to actually deploy your application. So when you deploy an application, you actually deploy it on top of the TAP platform. And then from there, you can actually start using or start sending to your subscribers available within the telco. Okay, now deploying is completed, right? So now you have deployed the application. Now, after deploying, the crucial factor comes in. Crucially, you need to market your application. After deployment, what needs to be done is you need to start marketing your application. So everybody is not going to start knowing about application just because you developed it. So the crucial part is how you can start marketing. Marketing can be started off with just using simple social media. You can share on your Facebook, for example, and then your friends will see your share and start using the application. And your friends, when their friends start using, your friends' friends will start using. So this is known as a viral marketing. So you can start a small viral marketing among your friends group, and it will just spread if the application is good. The more people they use, the more people who shares, the application will grow bit by bit, and it will actually pick up as more and more users start using your application. The next available method for marketing that's available is that Telco App Store. So Telco App Store is a platform which is available, which all the applications that are deployed is available. So for example, if I'm a customer and I want to find a nearest coffee shop, or if I'm going to find what are the promotion that's available, I can actually go to this App Store and search. And if your application's rating is really good, yours one will be the first one to come up. And people can search for your application from using the Telco App Store and start using your application. So it's now you're just not limited to the social media marketing that you have done. Other users who do not even know about your application can start using your application by coming into the Telco App Store. So now those are one of the two major ways where you can market. But there's another third one which you can use is business promotions. If I again take back the coffee shop example, where if I created the application, actually I can put a poster near the cashier and say, hey, this application is there, dial #141 to start using the application. So people who actually come in will actually know, okay, there's the application like this, I can start using. So people actually who see these posters will register and start using the application. So these are the three simple ways on how you can start marketing your application. Of course, you can run other campaigns. You can actually pay on Facebook, pay on YouTube, and actually advertise your application. But these are three simple steps that you can take to start off by marketing your applications. Now, we have gone through most of the steps, so you have an idea. You have decided on how you want to create applications, and if you have chosen the technical, if after creating the application, now you can develop and test. That's the step 3, and then you deploy, and you have started marketing your application. Now, if you remember in the beginning, I said there's 2 kinds of ideas. One, it supports an existing business, and the second one, you create a business out of the application which you have created. Now, how do you create a business out of the application you have created is that every API call that you make using your applications, you get a revenue share. For example, if using application, let's say the subscribers charge $1, out of this $1, you'll get a revenue for the, as a developer, you'll get a revenue for your application. So now, end of the month, let's say if I have sent, like say 10,000 messages, you'll get a revenue share out of these 10,000 messages that you have sent out. So you aren't just not, even as a coffee shop owner, now I have found a new revenue stream to my business. So now I'm not just getting revenue out of the coffee that I'm selling in my coffee shop, but I'm actually getting revenue for user interaction with my business. So it adds in another revenue share. So this revenue is shared directly between the developer or you as the application developer, and then end of the month it directly transferred into the bank account. So there's no hassle of checks and no hassle of approvals. You just go and relax, and end of the month your revenue is put into your bank account directly. So that being said, so that are the 5 steps that you need to do to create an application. Now, to take back on what are best practices, when creating an application, you have to use quotients, and you can't just create an application and expect it to work. There are some best practices that you need to take into consideration while creating application. First thing is the business model. You need to identify, are you creating an app to support an existing business, or are you creating an application to create a new business? So that's the first thing that you need to decide when coming up with an idea to create an application. After that, you need to do a research. You need to do a market research to identify what is the market needs. After identifying the market needs only, you can really know how much will your application that you have created will be successful, or will it be a failure. So if it's not going to be successful, you need to find out what is the customer need, what do the subscribers need, and you need to change your application so it suits the market needs. And then you need to plan how the application is going to work. You can have the best application that you have created, but if this application is not user-friendly, people are not going to start using it. The subscribers are not going to start using it because it's just too complex. So you need to plan on what is the user experience where the users will see while using the application. So that's the second one. So you need to identify the target market of your application, and you need to do your research to see, will this application be successful if it's launched. After that, marketing. Everything is about marketing. So you need to come up with a marketing strategy and say, hey, how am I going to market my application? So you can start off with social media, then use the Telco App Store and business promotion. So the easiest ones to start off with is the social media. You start sharing among your social group, and from there you can move on to Telco App Stores and business promotions where users can actually see and discover your application and start using your application from different social groups between the users. So basically that's the 3 things you need to consider while creating applications. Now, everything said and done, how do we get started? How can we get started on this application creation? So everybody likes to start off big. So actually you can start off big. There's the International Telco Application Developer Hackathon, which is happening on 6th and 7th of June in Madrid. So this is going to be an international hackathon. There's going to be a lot of developers, a lot of entrepreneurs who are going to come from different countries, from Europe, from US, from Sri Lanka. They're going to come from different languages, where they will be competing each other to come up with the best idea, to come up with the best application in the world. So this is going to happen on 6th and 7th of June, on how you can actually start getting involved with this hackathon, which is going to happen on 6th and 7th, where you can create your own application. Is you can actually search for it on the FB and search for TADHack Sri Lanka, or you can actually visit the TADHack devspace.zenmobile.com. So any developer who's interested, or any entrepreneur who's interested to start off, even if you don't have any programming knowledge using, you can actually visit devspace.zenmobile.com and download the APIs, download the guides, and start creating your application. You can register on the DevSpace website, and you can actually start developing or start creating your own application. And if you want to get more details or get the video examples, you can actually visit YouTube and search for Zen Mobile developer communities. There's a big community that's available. So there's a lot of videos that will actually show more light on how this application creation works, and you can actually get more details and how applications are created and how deployment is done, how marketing is done, how this whole ecosystem works. You can get more details by visiting the YouTube link. Now, coming to the end of the presentation, this was just an introduction on how, and the introduction to telco assets and how to create an SMS-based application and how you can get started. The next presentation will be on how we can integrate USSD API into the application. On the coffee shop example I just spoke about SMS, sending SMS and getting, but on the next presentation we will talk about on how the applications can go beyond the current SMS and actually use USSD APIs to create more application or create a more advanced application, and how users can interact much more with it. So thank you everyone for attending. So that's quickly, I think I'm on time. So we have time for a couple of questions that's available. So if any questions, you can post it so that I can answer it then and there. So I can see there were a couple of chat that came up saying there are a couple of questions. So is there any questions? And if you have any questions after the presentation, the email address is available, devspace@zenmobile.com. You can actually drop an email to devspace@zenmobile.com, and you can get more details on how you can register and how the APIs work, or even if you want to get a video link to this presentation, you can actually visit devspace@zenmobile.com to get more details, or go to devspace.zenmobile.com and you can see everything that we have done. Before we finish up, I want to just show the devspace.zenmobile.com. So if you visit the website, you can actually see on the steps that's available, and then go to the API guide and sample application, simulate the guide, and even we have a FAQ. And you can go to the FAQ and you can actually see what are the questions and get more details, and then actually register for the competition. And here you can actually go and register the competition and actually compete against the international developer community. So you can actually compete against US developers and entrepreneurs from US to actually compete for the ideas, and you can compete against them and win the competition. And yes, so let's go back to the questions. So I'm just going to open up the questions and let's see what are the questions. Can we target international market? Okay, so one of the questions that has been asked is, can we target the international community when can we target the international market when we create an application? Okay, let me try to get this question. Okay, so can we target the international community if we create an application in Hackathon? The answer is yes. We can target the international community if we create an application in Hackathon. So the next question that has been asked is, which country can we distribute telco application currently, and how can we get revenue from other countries? So the question is how an application can be distributed to other countries and how we can get revenue from other countries. So how it works is, when you create an application, you can register yourself at devspace.zenmobile.com, and after registering, when your application is being done, we will actually deploy your applications on every country that the platform I was talking about is available. And what we will do is we will take your application and we will market it in different countries, and we will deploy it in different countries. And the usage based on the different countries and the revenue which is generated by the different countries will be again given to the developer or the application owner end of the day. So the revenue share percentages might be different, but the share will be again sent back to the original owner of the application. Hope that answers the question. The next question is, okay, the next question that I have, how to create a SMS application without a programming knowledge. So that has come in. So for that we have a different link, and I'm sure the link is available on the website. If not, just drop an email to DevSpace support and I will see. If not, I will reply back to the email. I have your email address, so I will reply back to with the URL so that you can have a look after the presentation. Okay, then we have, can you tell us some names of the countries? So I'm hoping you're asking about the countries which are competing on the hackathon. So there will be, the Spain will be definitely there, US and Sri Lanka. These are some of the countries will be actually competing on the hackathon, which is going to happen on the 6th and 7th. Okay, so there are much more questions here, but I think we are running out of time. So I will close it up with this. But if you have any questions at all, you can actually you can actually ask the questions to devspace@zainmobile.com. I will also get the email, so I can personally reply, or not, some of my colleagues also will reply to the questions that you would have. So if any questions at all, you can check. And on the web page, you can actually see we will put in a new video on YouTube channel where you can actually get more details on how to develop application on the web base and how to develop application using the APIs that are available. So the links will be available on the devspace.zainmobile.com. You can visit that to get more details. So thank you everyone for attending. And if any questions, please drop a mail to devspace@zainmobile.